All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Roofr Masterclass. Kind of a special one here today. A little wrap up of, the first little bit of the year here, the first half of the year. We should be joined shortly here by Mackensey from our product marketing team, but we're also joined by Nate here, one of our product managers. And they're filling in today for Nick, who is out on his honeymoon. So I'm missing Nick today, but Nick had to go without me last time, so now I got to go without him. It's just payback, I guess, for me not being available last time. So welcome, everybody. Glad you could jump on with us. Excited to run through some of the things that we've done here in the first half of the year and potentially some of the things that we have coming up. Always looking for better ways to keep everybody in the loop of what's going on here at Roofr, and this is a great way. We always get a good turnout on these things, so wanted to just leverage this a bit to kind of run through that stuff. So I've got a couple quick housekeeping items that we'll go through here while Mac is getting up and running, and then we'll kind of hand it off to her to run through the recap a bit, and Nate and I will be here to add our 2 cents as we roll through it. So let me just share my screen really quick here with you guys. Everybody can see this. Go full screen here. Hopefully that's working.
Yeah, looks good. Yeah.
All right. So what's new in Q2, right? So we're going to kind of, like I said, just a wrap up really quick. We're going to be joined here by Mackensey shortly. And Nate is also joining us here to run through some of the stuff that his team has been working on. Nate is one of our product managers in charge of the CRM functionality. So Nate will be running through some of his area of expertise.
Excited
of course. Share. What's that?
Excited to share.
Yeah. Excited to have you on here. Is this not, how many have you done here, Nate?
I think this might be my third. I did one a few years ago and right when I started as well.
I was gonna say.
Yeah, but it's been a while.
Yeah.
I'm excited to be here.
You've done a few. Yeah, it has been a while, right?
Yeah.
So normally Nick is my sidekick, not here, but if you need us, Pete and Nick, right? I'm Pete at Roofr. He's Nick at Roofr. So anytime you guys have any questions about any of the master classes or any of the stuff that we cover, feel free to hit us up. Like I said, Nick will not be hosting with me today. He'll be replaced by a couple of other folks. Some of the other things that we just want you guys to know really quick. We have Jennifer and Joel in the background, always manning the chat, answering any questions that you guys may have. They can direct you as well. And you have their emails there for any feedback. We love feedback. It's how we make this better. There'll also be a survey at the end of the masterclass. If you guys can take a second to answer that, it's always helpful for us to get that feedback in. As always, the masterclasses are on our YouTube channel as well as on, our website under our resources section. You can go in there. We've got some great blogs that Joel's been working to fine tune. We've got our masterclasses, our podcasts, our Roof of the Month stuff. If you haven't seen those are fantastic. Take a look at those. And and that's pretty much everything we have. And so, couple of things just to touch on. Roofr Academy, all the on-demand learning stuff. The team's been working super hard on that in the background. So that's just academy.roofr.com. You can also access that from the Roofr resource section. And then we now have our Supplier Integrations live. We'll be talking a little bit more about this in the presentation, but we have those live for all 3 suppliers now. SRS, QXO, formerly Beacon, and ABC, all up and running. So, and then make sure to follow us on social. Our social team has been absolutely killing it. So be sure to check us out on there as well. All right. So we'll get started with Al Mackensey, I guess. She's having some technical difficulties, but we'll jump into it. Actually, you know what? Give me 1 second here, because I think I actually have potentially Mackenzie's stuff. I might. Well, we can just talk through a couple things, Nick, while we wait and see if she gets on.
I did it.
Oh, she made it. Look, there she is. Perfect timing. I was just about to start running through your presentation without you.
Okay. Please feel free to. I was having some very severe technical difficulties there. But I'm here. I'm back. Sorry, I'm flustered.
Oh, good. We got the camera.
Let me see if I can share my screen.
We are good. Take a breath. We're ready to go.
Okay. Let me just see if I can share my screen.
There we go.
Holy cow. For someone who works at a tech company, that was really hard. Let me tell you. Thank you everybody for your patience. I'm sorry I just ate up 6 minutes of this webinar by faffing around. Luckily, Pete has ripped through my same housekeeping slides, so we can just get right into it, which is great. For those of you who don't know me, I am Mackensey Young. I'm the Senior Product Marketing Manager. So I typically work hand in hand with Pete and the product managers like Nate. We spend a lot of time together working on the features that mean the most to our customers. And I'm really excited to share the recap of some of the features that were released in Q2. As everybody here knows, Roofr releases a lot very quickly, and we've had a lot of really big updates over the last quarter. And we really tend to think about the product releases as like themes and how we can make improvements to not only the platform, but to customers' businesses. And so a lot of the features in Q2 that we released were really focused on moving more of your work into Roofr. So you'll see as we go through, there's a lot of these new features that we've released will allow you to replace some of your existing solutions, whether you're doing it manually or you're using other tools, and you're able to actually do more of that work in Roofr. And it's something we talk about a lot. There's a lot of value in that sort of all-in-one platform, but Roofr sort of goes beyond that all-in-one and creates a single platform. Instead of integrations, we really want all of those tools to work together cohesively, because we know that, number one, your time is super valuable. So if you're spending time even like messing around with integrations or support for different tools, or doing some things manually and some things in Roofr or a different tool, it eats up a lot of time. And even those really small or like seemingly easy things like sending a text to your homeowner or shooting a text to your material provider, that stuff eats up time. So we know that that's how valuable that is to you. But the other really big benefit of that singular source of truth for all of your work is that it creates a lot of visibility. So you're not having to jump around from platform to platform, from file to whiteboard to inbox to really get those updates. And that creates much, much more efficient work. You've got one place to go for all of your updates. You're logging into one platform and you're seeing everything right there. The last piece of that is it really just removes that approach of solving like fires, day-to-day tasks, the things that like sort of keep the lights on, as we like to say, and it lets you to really focus on the big picture of your business. And again, the last piece of that is that not only is everything in one place, your entire teams are working out of that same place. So as we go through, you'll see that that's been a really big theme in the Q2 updates with our inbox and our signatures. It's enabling more of your team's work in Roofr as well as your own work, whether you're a small business or a big business. Before we really get into things, if anybody had attended the first webinar, you know that we are doing our very best to make sure that we are making these new features as visible to you as possible, and we want to get them in your hands. So we'd love just some feedback quickly about how you find out about new features and updates in Roofr, and how we can make sure that you're not missing out on any of these updates. So if you guys could take the time to just do that poll quickly. I think Joel's running that in the background. I can catch my breath from that very stressful presenter trying to share my screen. Awesome. Joel, can you give me a thumbs up if I can move on to the next poll? I'm going to move on.
Yep, go for it.
Perfect. And the second part of that first poll question is that we really want to make sure that as we're releasing these features, that not only are you aware of all of them, but that we are making sure that you're trained on them, you understand how to use them, so you can really hit the ground running as quick as possible when we do release new features. So we'd love to just hear from you about how easy you're finding it to start using those new features. Are you finding that you're running into any sticking points, etc.? Who's been with Roofr for a while knows that we take feedback very seriously. We are constantly speaking to our customers. I think Nate is on customer calls probably like half of his time during the week. So I'm sure a lot of you have actually spoken to Nate. We've used tons of that feedback to help build the CRM. So we just want to keep continuing to get that feedback from you guys. Awesome. Thank you. Now we will get into the good stuff. The Q2 updates. Like I said, we have a ton of updates. One of the very exciting ones that we just released is for anybody who's on Roofr payments. We actually just released platform fees. And this is a huge update for anybody who has maybe typically avoided using credit card processing because of the high fees. It's one of those things that credit card processing fees are just a fact of life. We all pay them every time we tap our credit card. A lot of times those fees are being passed through to us as our customer. If you've ever been somewhere and they don't take Amex, it's because their processing fees are a little bit higher. So it's something that everybody is really experienced in. But when it comes to a roof and that bill becomes a lot higher, then obviously the fee becomes a lot higher. And without being able to sort of pass that fee through to your customers, that comes out of your profit margin. So a lot of our customers have found that it's a bit of a blocker for them to use payments, and then that results in them having to spend time going out and collecting cash or check, and it slows their entire process down. And that's obviously also becomes expensive because your time is expensive. So with the platform fees, if anybody was here for the last webinar and you saw how psychotic my cat is, she's acting up again. The interesting part about the platform fees and why it's called platform fees is because compliance is a really big part of this. So people have been getting a little bit creative with how they actually pass through those fees to their customers. But when you're not doing it in a really compliant and visible way, you're putting yourself and your business at a very major risk. So this platform fees feature allows you to pass through those fees in a compliant way. And that even comes down to the name of platform fees. The legislation around calling it a pass-through fee is a little bit iffy. And so we just want to make sure that your business is not being put at risk at all. And really what that does is it allows you to apply platform fees to any types of payments that you're accepting through Roofr payments, whether it's ACH or credit card payments. And once you toggle this on in Roofr, that's all you have to do. You have to go to payment settings to toggle it on, and then it'll be automatically added to all of your invoices. So you actually don't have to do it on each individual invoice. It's just a set and forget it sort of thing. And so you're never really worried about missing out on any of that profit margin. And again, it just keeps your company really compliant. But why this is really important outside of keeping keeping your profit margins reasonable, it's a better homeowner experience as well. Obviously, we live in a really technical age. Customers want to be accepting, or they want to be processing their payments digitally. They want that. Oh my God, sorry, she scared me. They want to be getting their bill right to their phone. They want to be one-click paying. And they don't want to be having to go to the bank, get checks, etc. And there's the security element of that as well. They want to make sure that they're doing secure online payments. So even though this platform fee does cost them more, the sort of peace of mind and security is worth that, and that flexibility for homeowners. So we really see that homeowners prefer the digital payments. And this just really removes that barrier for anybody who might not be accepting digital payments, but now can in Roofr. Another big update that happened this quarter was a new look for the measurements dashboard. There was quite a few updates. I'm sure you've noticed it in the measurements dashboard, as most of you are using Roofr measurements. But really what we've done is we've consolidated those two pages where previously there was a DIY page and then a page for ordered Roofr reports, and we've consolidated them into one page. So you can see on the side, under type, you're able to determine whether it's a multi-building, a DIY, or a Roofr report. It's all there. We've also consolidated the reports per job to clean up those line items. So it just makes it a lot easier to go through and navigate. We've got the search and the filter fields up in that measurements dashboard. The reason we're bringing it up is sometimes those platform changes can be a little bit confusing for people. So if you have any questions about the new measurements page, or you're having trouble finding any of your past reports, please reach out to us. We're happy to go through and give you a demo of it. But really, we found that this is allowed for a lot less time scrolling and just a lot more efficient work. Next up, this is quite a new release in the last 2 weeks. The proposals team has released rounded material quantities. And this is a feature that can be done on the individual proposal. And a lot of our customers, the immediate feedback that we've been hearing has been that this has opened the door for using proposals for insurance work, which has been a really exciting update. With the rounded quantity you can either select to round your proposal up, your materials up on your proposal, so that you make sure that you're ordering enough materials. I think people prefer to have more than less, so you're not running out. Or you can choose to have the materials listed to the exact decimal point. I think it goes to 2 decimal points, which is what's required for insurance claims. So this gives you the flexibility to manage more insurance proposals within Roofr as well. But you can do that on a proposal per proposal basis. So we know that most people are doing a mixture of insurance and retail, so you don't have to mess around with different workflows, different settings. It can all be done on the fly. Another really exciting update, I think Nick had a heart attack when we released this recently. He was so excited. The small but very mighty change is adding measurement reports into your proposals. In the section, the add new section settings in your proposals, you can just click upload, and typically where there would be the option to upload a PDF or an image or a text section, there's now a new field where you can actually add your measurement reports directly into your proposals. And each individual page, you can either hide it or you can show it so that you can include all of those measurements in your proposal, but it's still customizable, so you don't need to have the full document if you don't want. On top of that, we have a couple just like very small but impactful quality of life improvements. And these are those small changes to the platform that, again, are just things that kind of happen in the background that just increase efficiency. One of them you probably would have noticed is bulk actions in the file manager. For anyone who is not using the file manager, I highly recommend going and checking it out. Now you can actually go in and take bulk actions. You can also have multiple material ordering branch emails. So you can set your defaults for your material ordering branches, which means that it's just more flexible for you to use our material ordering templates, and you can just toggle down and select which email you would like us to send it to without having to go back in and create a new material order for a different branch email. In the proposal page, we also have a new layout section. You'll notice it up at the top. You'll see a list versus a table view. One is more of a legacy view, so you can toggle between which two you prefer. If you are new to Roofr within the last month, you'll actually only see the list view. It just makes everything a little bit more streamlined in the dashboard. But for those of you who've been with us for a while and maybe prefer that card view, you still have that option as well. Pete, are you having the technical issues now?
No, I had to sift through a bunch of internet until I found one that actually didn't make you sound like a robot. So now I'm back. We're good.
Okay, perfect. Well, I will hand it over to you now, and we're going to talk about suppliers.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, suppliers, obviously a big ask from everybody. Now that we had material ordering in the product, everybody wanted to know, when are we going to integrate with suppliers? And we are now live with the big 3. And so SRS was the last of those 3 to get hooked up, and that is now live. So why is this important? Obviously, if you are someone who...
What a cliffhanger.
This just streamlines that entire process. I'm back. Did you guys lose me for a second?
We lost you at this is important for those of you who...
Oh, this is important for those of you that order material, which is everybody, right? So obviously, this streamlines the process a bit to where now, as you create material orders in the product, you can now easily push those orders straight on through to your supplier, whether that be ABC, SRS, or the newly branded QXO. You can now work with all 3 of those. So depending on who you're using, our team can easily get you set up and get you utilizing that integration to just streamline your ordering process and leverage our material ordering system a little bit better. So excited about that. If you guys need help, be sure to reach out to our implementation team. They can help you get everything set up with that, because there's a little bit of a process to getting those going, and not a lot, but you better get them to help you through it, just to make sure that all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed and it works like it should, and get that running. And the beauty of that is that once it's connected, you can easily convert proposals to material orders to orders in your, on your supplier side, whether that be My ABC Supply or Beacon Pro Plus, which is not Beacon Pro Plus anymore. I don't know what they call it, QXO Pro Plus. I don't know. or SRS's Roof Hub. So, whatever system you're processing your orders in and keeping track of your orders, it'll feed right to those, send your orders over so that you are ready to go, and it communicates directly with your branch so that you have branch specific pricing and all of the things that you need to have up to the minute pricing in the system. Good. Next slide. Signatures. You want me to cover that too, Mac? Yeah, signatures. Yeah, so I'll walk through signatures. Yeah, signatures is a big one. Obviously, was a big ask once everybody was using proposals now. The big question was, hey, we have other documents that we process that we get signatures on, whether that be on the insurance side of things, we're getting contingency agreements assigned, warranties, whatever the case may be. There are other documents that you wanted to get signed that you did not have all the other information that a normal proposal would have. So the team came up with the signatures tool. And this allows you to essentially work like DocuSign. You can essentially turn any PDF into a dynamic document to where you can get signatures on it. You can build that out, just upload the document and then set it up. We talked to a contractor just the other day that was using it for a lot of insurance documentation. And one thing to note is now that the insurance fields that we have on the job card are now dynamic fields as well on the signature, so that if you're adding in insurance information into your job card, you can now utilize that, leverage it on the signatures module as well, so that you can utilize that, leverage that as you're getting signatures on some of those more important documents. I know there's a bunch of documents on the insurance side, and now signatures allows you to create them all. So just a quick walkthrough. Obviously, you can create templates in here. You can upload existing PDFs. A lot of you guys already have those documents built out someplace else, maybe in another system. You can now bring those over here. So if you are paying for, let's say, DocuSign or another system to get signatures on those documents, you don't have to do that anymore. You can run it right through your Roofr account. And then you have, like I said, dynamic fields. So you can add customer information. You can add fields off your job card all the way down to the now available insurance fields.
Yeah, one of the signatures is in closed beta right now. So we have a couple of people on there testing it. And one of the really interesting things that we've been hearing is how easy it is for salespeople now, or your sales reps, to actually create these documents in the field with the permissions. The sales reps don't have access to edit the documents. So you really get that peace of mind that you're collecting all of the information that you need that keeps you really compliant. Obviously, paperwork isn't fun, but it's super necessary to make sure that you're covering your tracks and protecting your business again. And being able to have that be set and forget so that reps are able to capture all of the information that they need without any bottlenecks has been a huge piece of feedback that we've received.
Yeah, it's just such a valuable tool because there are so many other documents that we utilize throughout the day. Probably don't even realize a lot of the ones that you guys are leveraging, getting customers to sign. I've even seen checklists and things like that created in there to have keep your guys in check, having them signing off on stuff. So just a lot of uses for that product. Super handy, super easy. Like Mackensey said, a lot of good feedback about how easy it is to use and set up. So.
Mm-hmm. And it works with automations as well. So one of the customers we spoke to, I think he has 7 documents that he uses every single job. And so he now has that process just completely automated. So it's all set up so that at each time his salespeople are making sure that they're hitting each document, but he doesn't have to go in and remind them. Going back to that visibility piece, he can see everything that's been sent. He can see the status of it, and it's all in that one place. And more importantly, it's tied to the job record as well. So you just go to the job record. We know that's where you're working out of anyways. And you can see everything that's being sent and signed and what's being opened. And so you know what to follow up on, and you know which reps to bug, all of that. It's all in that one job card. And it pulls in the job fields. That's just like, I think Peter already said the dynamic fields, but really that is such a time saver, especially when you're doing automations. Those dynamic fields let you personalize all of that information. So you can trust that these contracts are personalized because it's pulling that information right from the job records. All of your customer details, your company details are already pulled in.
Yeah, like you said, Mackensey, it helps with foolproofing it a bit, so that if my sales guys are accessing those signature documents, I don't have to worry about them potentially spelling something wrong, customer name or something like that, right? It's just pulling all that information in. It makes it very easy for them, fills it out more or less for them. So, just makes it much more streamlined, takes the human error aspect out of it for sure.
Yeah, the spelling piece. I don't think you could have teed Nate up for a better transition. I could see him get excited, which is perfect because we're actually going to just move right along and talk about homeowner comms. And Nate is actually going to walk you through everything and give you a live demo of all of the new features because there's a lot to cover and it's very exciting.
Yeah, I'm super excited to get to chat to you guys today. And just because I haven't met everybody on the call, obviously, before. My name's Nate. I'm a product manager here at Roofr, overseeing the CRM teams. I've been at Roofr for almost 4 years now, just a little after Pete started. And like Mac mentioned, my job is to ensure we build software that makes the lives of our contractors easier so you can make more money and spend more time with your families. So we do that a few different ways, but typically by looking at data and also just listening to our customers. So I see a lot of the names in the chat or people I've chatted to before about our software. And we spend a lot of time just listening to you guys, hearing what you like, what you don't like about our tools, and giving us feedback on what we should improve with what exists today, but also what we should build in the future. So I'm super excited to get to demo for you our inbox feature and talk you through it. And it's been something we've been working on for quite some time now. So can't wait to share.
Just tell me click.
Okay. Yeah, so let's talk about it. Inbox. So we're going to cover a few things here. Inbox, texting, and automations, templates, a few other things. So before we do that, I'll just walk you through a scenario I'm sure we're all familiar with. So as homeowners, we've all experienced a really unresponsive contractor. It's very annoying. They might take a long time responding to your email or your text message. They don't show up when they say they're going to show up, either to the job or to the appointment. And obviously that really affects our experience as homeowners of working with them. It'll affect our decision as to whether or not we want to actually pursue the work with them, either for something we've already signed like today, or whether or not we're going to work with them in the future. And so there's some really meaningful business implications of staying on top of those homeowner communications. And at Roofr, we know that contractors who get proposals in front of homeowners first are more likely to win jobs. And we also know that contractors who are prompt and responsive are also more likely to win jobs. And then on the contractor side, it totally makes sense. There's why they can be slow or unresponsive. There's so much going on to run a business, and your communication is spread between different channels. So things like text, email, on pen and paper, and also across different team members. So we talk to people who, sometimes it's a sales rep dealing with a customer, sometimes it's the office admin person, maybe somebody in production has a touch point. And when that's the case, it's often quite difficult to tell what has even been communicated and when. And even if you're the sole point of contact, it can be super easy to lose that thread of communication. And that'll really affect your ability to win the job. And also, I mentioned future business, or whether it's getting a referral from them or a good review, or business in the future. Click. So that's where this feature and set of features, I should say, can come in and help. So the inbox, it provides a centralized place where team members, all the right team members, can get visibility on communications they need, both at the job level, but also across all your different jobs. Managers can get that global view of all the communications that are going on in the business so that they can stay on top of that communications with customers and make sure you're being prompt and responsive. So the inbox records a full historical record of communication between your team and the homeowner, which means that anytime somebody's looking at a job, they can see exactly what's been said. They have that full context to ensure that they respond appropriately based on what the situation might be. So no matter whether you're at the start of the job, the middle of the job, or the end, it's obviously critical to know what's been said already so that you can communicate accurately based on what's going on. And then most importantly, the inbox keeps your homeowners in the loop. So paired with automations, you can make the inbox such that you answer questions a homeowner might have before they have a chance to even ask it. So they can stay up to date. A homeowner can stay up to date and informed on the progress of a job as it's happening in real time. Slide.
Did you say slide?
Slide, please.
We agreed on click.
Oh, sorry, darn. Okay, so let's actually get into it. What did we do? What did we build? So we've got a centralized inbox, as I mentioned, that lets you have that overview of all the communications, both email and text, across and in your job, or across your jobs. We've got a Gmail integration that's currently in a closed beta that enables you to send and receive emails from your email domain in Roofr. And that's quite meaningful because something that we got feedback on, or we get feedback on consistently from our users, is that it's a bit jarring to homeowners to receive an email from Roofr. So now, for example, when you send a proposal or you send an invoice, the email that it's sent from in Roofr is a Roofr domain. It's not your personal email domain, your email from your website. So this enables you to send those documents from your personal domain as opposed to from Roofr, which just keeps your brand quite a bit more consistent over the life cycle of that communication. Third piece is the job inbox. So this provides a filtered view of all the communications that are related to a job over its life cycle. The fourth piece, automations. So as I mentioned before, we can set up automations with our email and text feature, which enables you to automatically follow up with homeowners depending on what's going on in that job. And like Mac mentioned, there's there's many other knock-on benefits there. It means you can, especially with dynamic fields and templates, it means your language can be consistent. So like we talked about spelling mistakes a little bit earlier. If you can ensure that the language that your sales reps or team members are using is always the same, it always reflects your brand, and ensure that the right information is being sent to the homeowner at the right time. So let's add that. Oh no, I have one more thing to mention. Slide, please. Thank you. Is texting. So texting is another new feature that's been out for quite a while now, but we have transitioned it to an open beta. Everybody can participate if they want. And it's integrated within the Roofr inbox. It enables you to send and receive text messages from Roofr, automatically follow up with homeowners. We know that homeowners respond to text messages at a higher rate than they respond to emails. So communicating to them in the medium that they want to be communicated in is important. And I don't know about you guys, but if I receive an email from a company, I don't necessarily read it. So getting a text message, I will read it. And that's the same, that's the same for homeowners. And so we know the open rates and the click-through rates for text messages are better. So it only makes sense to use that to communicate with your homeowners. And this is now in paid open beta. It's $49 a month. 1,000 outbound and inbound messages are available. And you got a dedicated phone number. It works seamlessly with the rest of our inbox feature, which I'll demonstrate to you now. I'm gonna share my screen.
I just wanted to I think double back on the follow-up engagement note. The automations piece is work in marketing, and there's a very common rule of 7. It takes about 7 touches for a lead to convert, and that includes texts, emails, phone calls, face-to-face conversations. So that one and done sort of outreach just doesn't necessarily always resonate. So combining emails and texts, even if the text reminds them to open the email, setting up automations to create a task for you or your team to actually call the homeowner. All of these things you can automate because it really does take those 7 touches typically. And Nate was saying before, the speed to lead is so important. It's something that Nick and Pete talk about constantly, but oftentimes when it comes down to it, if you're the first in the door, you could get the job. And by automating a text message and an email, that could be the difference maker in winning more jobs and really increasing that win rate.
Totally. And so far, the feedback we consistently get from our contractors using text messages is that if they automate the follow-up with text messages, they're closing jobs. So it's kind of a no-brainer for those using proposals or collecting payment using invoices. Definitely makes a difference.
Okay, I'm going to stop sharing my screen.
Okay, let's see if I can share mine. And maybe should I answer some of the questions in the chat? Or do you guys?
Yeah, I think Adrian's been doing a pretty good job, but there is one here that asks, how long will Gmail be in beta for?
Yeah, roughly a month. Right now, we just kicked it off. And so I can follow up with you, Brian, if you want to participate. Happy to add you to that beta. And then for Megan's question as well, anything to update it to our own company email instead of the communication coming from Roofr. That's exactly, if you're a Gmail user today, that's exactly what this will do. Is it will, instead of, let's say, coming from @roofercoms.com or at comms@roofr.com, the proposal will be sent from your domain. If it's like Acme Roofing, it'll be sent from acmeroofing.com if you're a Gmail user. Sweet. I'm going to share my screen. Okay, do you see my screen?
Yep.
Super. Okay, I'm going to cover 4 components in this demo. I'm going to try and keep it to 5 minutes, but I haven't been getting the timing right yet, so bear with me. The 4 components we're going to go through, I mentioned them already. We're going to talk about inbox, both email and text message. We're going to cover the job inbox. We're going to cover templates and then automations. So jumping right into it, we've got this new section in Roofr, which is titled Communications. So you can see in the left-hand nav here, I can click on Communications. And then I land on the inbox is the place that I land after I do that. And if you're familiar with Gmail or any other mail provider, which we all are, you'll be quite comfortable and familiar with this view. So I'm going to put aside the template section, the new template and new messages just for now, and just focus on the inbox. So if I select inbox, you can see in the top here, I've got a count of unread messages. So I've got my both text messaging set up, which means that homeowners can text message me. And I've got my Gmail integration set up, which means that I can send and receive text or send and receive emails in Roofr. So I've got this count of 2 unread messages. Below that, I can search my inbox. So I can search by customer name, customer phone number, customer email address, or the address of the job. And then within this top drop down here, I've got my inbox, sent and unread. So I can view everything that I have received, everything that I've sent, and everything that is currently unread. And then I can choose to view just emails, view only text messages, or view both together. So pretty straightforward navigation at the top there. And then on the left-hand side here, as it appears, these are threads that I have received in my inbox. And so I'll start with this thread here. And just before I do that, what this inbox does is that it consolidates all of the email and text message communications from across all of your jobs into a single place. And so if I select this thread, it's showing me an inbox, or showing me a message thread where I've received messages here. And so you can see if I select that thread on the left in the thread section here, I've got a little count. This means that there are 4 messages within this thread, and I can click through each one of those sections within the email to view what I've sent to the homeowner, but also I can see exactly who this is from. Obviously, I'm the recipient of it, what the subject is, and then what the content is. So you can see here that this is from my personal email to my Roofr account, confirming an appointment. And so this enables me to just get a very clear understanding of all the communications back and forth between the customer. And the superpower here compared to your typical Gmail inbox is this is actually this thread now has a relationship with a job. So if I click on job info here in the right-hand side, you can see that this email thread is related to this job at 1731 Newton Street. And so that means that every time I communicate in this thread, all of those details remain related to this job. And I can actually use the details in this job in my communications with homeowners. And so let's say, for example, I wanted to reply to this homeowner, and because I've got my Gmail integration set up, I can do so right from here. That means that when I insert dynamic fields into the body of this message, these are all fields that are related to this specific job. So I'm the customer on this job, but I can insert the customer name, the address, the job assignee email, but I can also, even better than that, is use templates. So just for argument's sake, let's say that I want to follow up with this customer on an upcoming appointment. I can go ahead and jump in and find my appointment reminder template and select that, select the relevant event, which is actually part of this job here. And then it's going to pre-populate this email with all of the fields that are related to that event. So I've got my customer name in there, all of the event details that are stored on my job already, the title of the event. I can insert some dynamic content here and go ahead and send that email to a customer. So it really enables you to shortcut, like having to go out to Gmail to send those emails to homeowners. But most importantly, I think, is like using the data that exists in your CRM as part of the communications to your homeowners. So you're making sure that like everything is up to date and accurate. Additionally, if I needed more context about this job, I could select this little open job button here, and then it'll actually open up the job modal within the context of the inbox, so that, let's say if I had a measurement on this job, I could go and reference the measurement or reference a proposal and just make sure I'm really, really communicating accurately with the homeowner. And next, I will show you text messages with respect to how that works. Very conceptually, very similar. I can select my text toggle at the top here, select this unread text thread, and you can see, okay, this is currently unread. Somebody confirming, or I have confirmed with a homeowner that the dumpster, their driveway will be clear for the dumpster to be dropped, and they've sent me back a message saying, yeah, all good. Same thing here. This has a relationship to a job, so it's actually the same job I've got already. So again, I can use dynamic fields and templates within my communications, so that if I wanted to send them an appointment reminder text message, I could do so and just eliminate the manual tedious work of like writing that text message itself, but also ensure that the communication date, time, address, everything is all up to date and accurate. I'll jump over. So that covers at a really high level the job the inbox. And now we'll jump into the actual job itself. And the job inbox is a new feature that's available within the job card. So you can see next to internal notes here, I've got my inbox on the right. And what this does is show me just a consolidated view of all of the communications related to this job over its entire life cycle. So you can see these are the two threads that I was referencing a minute ago in the global inbox, but it's just been filtered down to the job itself. And so that means like whatever medium I've been communicating with the homeowner, I can see all of those messages. I can do the same things I was doing in the global inbox, like reply, forward, respond to messages, use dynamic fields and dynamic templates, but it's just really consolidated and filtered to that specific job. This, I touched on using templates already. I'll just jump into that in a little bit more detail quickly.
Before you do, Nate, can we just talk about the job card for 1 second?
Mm-hmm.
Just to tie it back to what we sort of touched on at the beginning about the visibility and having everything in one place, like not only yourself and your work, but your team's work as well. I think like there's a lot of value here that goes maybe underappreciated when it's like, oh, my inbox and it's on my phone already. Why don't I just use my Gmail inbox already? But having everything tied to your job card is such a time saver. Mm-hmm. And it really like gives you that visibility on what everybody on your team has been communicating with the homeowner about when you are handing it off from a sales to production team, material orderings, all of those things are in one place without having to scroll through inboxes. And when your inbox is on your phone, even if you have a company-wide inbox, it just like removes any of that work and all any of that setup. It's all just right here. And it's like this job specific inbox is like Gmail just can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Plus, like you mentioned, like from an auditability perspective, super valuable as well. You know, something might go wrong over the course of the life cycle of the job. Some communication may go awry, and just to have everything consolidated in one place is very valuable.
Yeah, good point.
Sweet. So we talked a little bit about using templates, but I'm just going to briefly show you how to set them up. It's same place within communication and templates. And like I mentioned before, basically templates enable us to streamline writing emails manually by hand that you're consistently sending anyways. If you're always sending an appointment reminder, you're always sending a proposal follow-up email, you're always sending an invoice follow-up email or text message, you can use templates to templatize the writing of those things so that you save that time of like obviously manually typing it out, but also it means, like I mentioned at the start, is that you can ensure that your team members are using your brand's language, your brand's voice to ensure that it matches your company. And so in Roofr, there's two methods we use for creating templates. You can either create one from scratch or you can create one from Roofr or select from an existing Roofr template we provide you. So I'm going to actually use a text message template, and we'll use the example of a proposal follow-up. So you can imagine that you've sent a proposal to a homeowner and it's been maybe a few days and you want to follow up with the homeowner to say, hey, just making sure you don't have any questions on the proposal. I'm available if you need me. So you can see here, we've got this section for browsing our templates. So you can see here, I can go to the proposal section and click proposal follow-up. And this is basically a template that you can modify to however you need in order to use this template to automatically follow up with a homeowner. So you can see here, it's got all the details that you would need in order to follow up with a homeowner. So I could add this template, and that means that I can use it both within the job inbox that I showed before, but also in the global inbox, or the global inbox, or the job inbox, the global inbox, and with automation. So those three places. So templates enable you to like standardize language and also just eliminate the repetitive nature of like typing something out. And that'll just bring me into my last little component, which is automations. And I'll continue on with the example of automating follow-up of a proposal. So we have the same concept in automations where you can choose existing roofer automations that we recommend for you, but we can also create a custom one. And I'll continue on with this example. Let's imagine a proposal has been with a homeowner in the sent state for more than 24 hours. And we want to automatically follow up with that homeowner via text message in order to make sure that they don't have any questions, just to ensure that you are available for them. So I could go ahead and set this up where if proposal status remains in sent for more than 24 hours, we're going to send this text message, which is my proposal follow-up text, to a homeowner. And I'll turn this on, and test, and save that automation. And what that does is after you've sent the proposal, 24 hours later, you're going to automatically send a follow-up text to the homeowner to ensure that they don't have any questions for you, and that ensure that they know you're available to answer anything. And you could imagine setting up a sequence of these so that both after 24 hours, after a week, after 2 weeks, you're just automatically following up with homeowners to ensure that they don't have any questions for you and that you increase your close rate. Yeah, I think that pretty much wraps up what I wanted to show. Cool. Covering inbox, text, templates, automations. And so we're super excited about it, and I hope you guys are too.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Sorry, Mackensey. I was just going to say, one of the things that Nick and I have really, really pushed, on a couple of different master classes, and Nate just touched on it again, is if you guys are not leveraging automations at this point, it's just something that you got to take advantage of. It gives you the ability to set it on cruise control, right? You can just keep so many things from slipping through the cracks by utilizing those automations. And Nate's team has made it incredibly simple to set those things up. Like he said, there's even automations already set up in there. You can browse the automations that the team has put in there. So it gives you a starting point. It also is a great way to learn how to use the tool by utilizing some of those more common automations. And then you can build your own more in depth. I know we just had a contractor even say in the Roofr Unlocked Facebook channel that he had automations now out up to a year as far as like follow up and stuff like that. So there's no end to what you can do really with that, as far as like Nate said, creating these almost like campaign style follow-ups, based on these time released texts and emails and everything. So definitely take advantage of that. I think a huge thing to note in all of this is how simple the team has made all of these new products to utilize. Signatures, super easy. We've already gotten feedback on how easy it is to use. Automation's easy. Inbox is very simple. I tested it when it first came out, and it's just very self-explanatory, very easy to use. So yeah, I mean, definitely jump on this stuff. If you guys do have questions along the way, feel free to reach out to the team. You see a couple of our team members in the chat answering questions as well. So, there's always somebody here to help.
Yeah, that's was exactly what I was going to say, is just sort of acknowledging that it is the middle of busy season, and sometimes it can be really hard to sit down and feel like you have to dedicate a lot of time to getting something started and set up. But automations really are so quick and easy to set up, and our team is actually just really, they're available and they're willing to get those automations set up for you as well. Like, our team works with so many different roofing businesses, and Nate's done so much research on what other roofing companies are doing and what their automation looks like, so that we have all these best practices, and we can help you say, like, these are the three most important automations that you should set up. And our team on a half-hour call can set these automations up for you. So really, like, they're there for you at at any point in time, reach out to your implementation team or your account manager, and within half an hour, they can get these set up with you, and they can actually teach you how to do it too, and really get like the wheels turning. And then when you have more time, and you can, you'll have more time because you've automated all your work.
It's a huge point. It is a huge point. If you guys think about how much time are you wasting right now sending one-off emails and one-off texts and all these things, and think about how repetitive they are. And now take a look at that long term. And if you just take that little bit of time now to set up these automations, how much time over the next days, weeks, and months is it going to save you? Especially like Mackensey said, we're in the heart of the busy season. For some of you guys, we're about to start moving into storm season where it gets even more hectic. Like having these things in place could be just incredibly valuable, going into those times to keep you guys from having to spend a lot of time on the back end doing this stuff manually. So definitely take advantage of it and leverage it for sure.
Yeah. Switching gears quickly, Heather, we just happened to have Nate on the call today, who also built Calendar, another one of our favorite features. So Heather just has a question there about the calendar. So
yeah, so you're not the only person to give us that feedback, and we are doing it right now, actually. So we are starting work now. It's going to be out by the end of Q3 for custom event types on the calendar. And so that'll mean that you can get rid of the ones that you don't like, create new ones that are more meaningful to your business. And then obviously that ties in with the rest of the platform with respect to dynamic fields, email templates, automations, all that stuff will all work together.
Sounds like everybody should show up to the Q3 product webinar.
Yeah. That was one of the, after we launched the calendar, one of the consistent pieces of feedback we got, and obviously something we take seriously, and we're doing it. So excited to see that one go out as well.
Yeah, awesome. Did we get through all of the questions?
I believe so. I've been watching to see which ones, if any, Adrienne didn't get to, and I think that her and Joel have just about covered everybody. So
yeah, awesome.
But yeah, I think that's everybody's good here. Nate, Brian did say to reach out to him.
Okay. That one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Signatures and beta. We'll add you, Brian. Yeah, absolutely. Awesome.
Well, great. Is that everything, Mackensey, on your deck of cards there?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody. Again, I know that I ran through those first couple of features very quickly due to the stress in my chest. But if you have any questions, we are going to send this recording out with the slide deck, so you'll be able to go through and see everything that we actually shared as well. And we'll also follow up with some help articles for all of these things. So a lot of these features are live in your account already, so we can give you some resources for accessing them right away. Also, if you have any questions, again, reach out to your implementation team, your account manager, and we would be happy to help you. Thanks, Nate. I appreciate you taking the time.
Happy to hop on. That was great. That was super fun.
Yeah, thank you guys for joining. And I think Megan also said, Nate, that she would like to be included in the beta for Gmail. So
fantastic.
You're in.
Get that taken care of. But thank you guys for joining us on another great masterclass. Tons of information. And as you can see, the team is super busy on the back end here at Roofr, producing a ton of stuff. So I'm excited that they got to show some of that today. And Q3 will be a lot of the same, I believe. A lot of new stuff slated for then. So be sure to join us again when we do that recap. And like always, if you guys have any questions, you can always reach out to myself or to Nick. We can always point you in the right direction, as well as Jennifer, Joel, or any of the team. Everybody.
Or reach out to me.
Yeah, or Mackensey. Everybody is available at Roofr always. So hit us up anytime if you guys have any feedback or have any questions. And if we're not the right person, we can always point you in the right direction. So thank you guys again for joining, and we will see you next time on the Roofr Masterclass. Thank you, everybody.
Bye. Thank you.